Welcome to Fierce and Fearless, the go-to podcast for the modern unstoppable woman. We are your hosts, and I'm Sonali Singh, a fitness enthusiast, a fierce entrepreneur, and the founder of Feed Smart.
And I'm Zoe Modgill, your guide to all things fitness, nutrition, and beyond, encouraging strength in every aspect of life.
Together, we're here to explore the world and the spectrum of womanhood, motherhood, careers, fitness, nutrition, and even mental health.
We're here not just to share insights, but to debunk myths and offer tangible tips that empower you to lead a life that's both dynamic and balanced.
So get ready to explore new perspectives.
Let's dive in.
Hi everyone, Sonali here, your co-host of Fierce and Fearless. And today we have a very interesting, thought-provocative topic, right? Does discomfort equal to growth? And this could be physical, this could be mental, this is emotional, this is just putting yourself out of your comfort zone. Does that equal to growth? Both Zoe and I have done it many times in different parts of our life. So we thought we'd just put out there what we feel, how we've had our journeys, and safely to say we both agree with the statement that yes, it does lead to growth, but it's not that easy, right? So let's dive into it.
Yes. Let's do it. And this is Zoe, and bringing my angle of my whole exercise front. I think being uncomfortable is something that literally has been thrown at me on a regular basis, not only when I'm exercising, which is, I think, something, I don't know if you felt the same, Sonali, because you did accompany me on my 40th birthday trip. But a few of the other ladies that were with us that time definitely expressed to me that they hadn't really felt discomfort in the way that they had when they were working out in some of those classes. And it is literally something that I have spoken about, going there to do those fitness classes in Thailand. For the past, I think, 10 years, I've only been there twice, but I have spoken about it as a spokesperson religiously for that place for the last sort of 6 to 7 years, because you walk away from there feeling like you were literally put through such a difficult voluntary uncomfortableness, which when you come out of there, whether you didn't manage it or you did, you still felt like what true discomfort really can be. And this is quite to do with physical, but majorly mental. Because again,
it's very mental.
You're voluntarily signing up to do it, right? And I think, in a nutshell, there are literally 3 to 4 people that I can name in the last 10 years that I think truly put themselves through being uncomfortable.
So I think let's define to people what being uncomfortable means. And being is basically doing something that maybe that you not inherently enjoy instantly, but will actually give you gratification at a later stage. So you have to see that habit or that challenge or act through to then see it actually work for you and give it benefit. Because unfortunately, we live in a society that has just made life way too easy, right? Everything is, you can order, hand it to us, right? Instant gratification is the word. You don't even need to walk to a grocery store to buy anything now, right? So everything is literally with technology at the palm of your fingers. You're put into an environment where you don't need to move, where you don't need to be uncomfortable physically, mentally, anything. You don't need to book it. You want to watch a movie, just switch on your TV and watch any movie you want.
You don't even have to trek yourself to the cinema anymore.
Exactly. Even to do something that you enjoy doing, which is go to watch a movie, you don't need to do that, right? You can create that theater experience now at home. So all of this put together, then obviously it's so much harder to keep putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation. And then suddenly you're going to be like on your deathbed and you're going to be like, so what did I do? What have I actually achieved? And you don't want to be that person. So you want to act now, you want to change that level. You don't want to be that person looking back. You want to be very happy with what you've done in your life. And for that, you got to get uncomfortable, dude. You got to do things that you don't enjoy doing, because eventually that's what's going to make you grow. So I'm a big believer of it. And physically, though, of course, working out, but mentally, starting a business, all of it, they're all things that make you uncomfortable. Like my husband says it to me straight up. He said, bro, I couldn't do it. Just not my cup of tea. And there are different levels to it. I think that you and I might be people who are very deeply into it and who go really down and deep. For everyone else listening, you can just start at the very base, right?
The comfort situation is not just physically something that is as important as it is mentally. And I feel like a lot of the times I have been challenged in the last few years where I suddenly feel like I'm unsure and I'm coming out of my comfort zone is when I don't have options. This sudden feeling, there's something this kind of like overtakes my body for this moment. And I'm like, I don't have an answer, or I don't have the solution right at this moment. That feeling is something that I don't remember really experiencing so much before as I have in the last few years of being a mom, answerable to so many demands that have been put on me. Like I have had to show up no matter what. And I think that this has taught me how to be even more present, I think, in the moment than anything I have ever experienced. And I think I have to give it all to exercise because I was a completely different human being 10 years ago. Quiet person, didn't have the guts to speak up anywhere. But I don't remember it being a problem. It's just that now I know the alternative, right? I know that I'm so secure in who I am. It doesn't matter if I don't have peer pressure. I don't have like earlier, oh, you don't drink? Oh, are you going to eat something because you can't get up in the morning? Like I used to get teased a lot in the beginning, forced to drink, like all sorts of stuff that I would feel like I had to give in moments. But the truth is I was able to step out and be my own person. That was like totally a big deal to come out of my comfort zone. When I started to realize, you know what, this is who I am. This is the confidence that I can push myself through and know who I am. I think most people don't even allow themselves to really know who they are actually, because they've not tested themselves in a moment of chosen discomfort. And exercise is one of those things. I feel if you have not experienced being uncomfortable exercising, and that means, you know what, not caring if the ground is dirty. If I ask you to do a burpee on the floor, it doesn't mean if the air conditioning is not on. It doesn't mean if the sun is up in the sky and it's like making you feel hot. It doesn't mean if I've given you 5 sets of exercises and you forgot the last at the end, you're like, oh, forget it, doesn't matter. No, it matters, right? It matters. And these kind of like attitudes, I feel, have helped me be that person. You know what? I know what I can do. And if I don't do that, I'm not reaching my goal, is like how I approach a lot of my workouts. So like when we were training together on my birthday, for instance, 40 exercises and 40 reps is tedious.
Yeah, of course.
I was like, I could visualize each one of us finishing it.
Yeah.
And that is a skill that I think that I have developed, where when I get uncomfortable, I know how much further I've got left in the tank. And I think that is something that has taught me to be like, you know what, when something hard comes my way, I can still step out and recover and carry on with my life afterwards. And I think that this actually happened to me recently. I don't wish it on anybody, where Zayn just suddenly from a bath to the changing table, his fever went up instantly. He started shivering and his eyeballs were rolling around in his head.
God,
I was alone at home. It was a moment of absolute panic. Picking up that child, just running downstairs, grabbing whatever I could, make sure I had milk. I don't know what it was. Get into the car, take my cook to hold my son who was like forgetting how to drive in the moment, and reverse out of the driveway. I was just panicking. And I was like, there was a moment where I was like, Zoe, get your shit together. You have trained for these moments of challenges. Like face it, because if you don't get your shit together in this moment, it could have consequences. And I think that you don't know when life is going to throw such shit at you, you know? So being able to deal with being uncomfortable and coming back, and the next day, you know what, I could get up and have my cup of coffee, Sonali, just normally, and sit there. Well, I don't know what that says about me, but I think that I've learned a lot about how to be super uncomfortable and then be like, you know what, that was a period. It's gone. I can move on from it. Some people will take that to another level. And they will not be able to let it go. And I think exercise will teach you that.
I mean, it comes back to what it's say in Buddhism, right? Like nothing, I mean, it's the power of impermanence, because you're never really going to be, that moment is gone, right? You've dealt with it, you've moved on. Of course, when you're in that moment, it seems that the world is going to collapse and so much is going to happen. And just the way you've experienced it, I've experienced it with Feed Smart, where I've been at a point where there's literally no money in the bank for me to pay salaries and vendors the next day. And that feeling, that sinking feeling that I've had in my stomach, like, how am I going to run this company? It takes you to places, they're very uncomfortable, tough situations to be in. But because you've been in a version of it and you've come out you gather the strength, you go into it, you face it, you come out, and then 2 days you're like, okay, I managed, I passed that, I dealt with it, I came up with a solution, and whatever the solution is, it worked, right? I've moved ahead, and that is in the past. Learn from it and move on. Just that resilience as you can build as a human, that is key, right? And if you can't latch on, because if you get latched on, then you are stuck in that loop, right? Your mind is not going to let you go. That is a mind's job. And I always say this, that the biggest enemy of a human being in growth is overthinking. Because we just
I suffer from that.
No, but you might, but you're so aware that you are overthinking that you also manage to overcome that, right? There are a lot of people who just get stuck in that thinking loop. They just don't get out of it. They're not even aware that you're there in that loop. So it all starts with awareness, and then the different levels of consciousness. But the most important is be aware, right? And be aware, okay, fine, you know, I'm going into a loop now. This is not me. I'm going into a loop. This is my mind playing games with me. I'm going to step out of it. But yes, I am in a loop. That's really what it is. Okay, you and I might be people who've gone through certain levels and have come out and reached a certain, I would say, level of consciousness. But for anyone who's listening and who's facing problems just moving out of their comfort zone, right? I think that there are just 5 things that I always say, right? Just work out, 3 to 4 times a week, and work out to a level to just sweat, make your body a bit of discomfort, have a bit of pain. This is for someone who's really at the base level, right? Sleep and wake up at the same time. I don't think people understand just aligning your circadian rhythm and doing that, how much clarity it gives you to push forward.
Before you bring that up, getting that sleep means taking responsibility of the things that you need to cut out from your life.
Of course,
not eating late, not socializing at night sometimes. You need to start to pull back on things and know which things you need to give up.
Which goes into the second part, eat protein, plan your meals to some level, guys. Pick one meal a day. Okay, fine, I'm going to start with planning one meal today. The other 2 meals I'm not going to plan. And then slowly start planning. And, the 80-20 rule works for all of us. 80 times be disciplined, 20 times do what the fuck you want, eat whatever you want to, right? And then drink consciously. Just don't drink every day for a fish. You can't. You just cannot live a basic life.
Don't drink at all my each to their own. It's waste. It's a waste.
Yeah, it's a complete
You'd rather
waste.
eat those calories if there was anything to do with that.
And be nice and don't overthink, right? If you can just try to do this in your daily life, these 5 things, I think automatically your productivity will go up. Because people sometimes just suffer they just don't know what to do. And they just keep thinking, and that's it. Your whole life goes into that. What are your thoughts?
These points that you brought up is something that you and I are not creating. This is proven, tested, done by so many people around the world and have lived lives that they are proud of based on these very few things. Now, the problem is that each of these things, if you were to break them down, they have a million options of excuses, reasoning, rationalizing as to yes, no, why. And a lot of the time, it will be people giving up on these certain lists because the little things that come up in the way are too hard to overcome. Like I said about the sleeping on time means giving up a decent amount of time. It means not binging on Netflix. It means saying no to some friends for dinners. It means saying no to socializing on certain nights. That takes some effort, right? It's not that easy. It takes some backlash. Eating protein and planning your meals, right? Now, what does that require? If you live in a joint family, it means you taking on the head person who runs the kitchen. It is not easy. Or it means you getting in the kitchen and you doing it yourself. That is not easy either if you don't know how to cook. Thirdly, it means you going sometimes to the market and buying what you want, which is not easy. These things are very not easy to do, right? What were the other ones that you said? Some of the reasons that I have come across in my career of why people don't want to work out, they will need to wash their hair too regularly.
I can relate. Right? I do feel that as well. I think about it quite a bit. I plan my hair washes.
But if you were to go somewhere to work out, you would want to have there to be a shower. You need to carry your shampoo. You need to put it into a plastic bag so that it doesn't leak. Look at all of this that has to come into that one moment of being uncomfortable. That amount of planning to get yourself to the gym. So it's not easy and we get it, right? But it's about understanding that the later benefits that you will get on a regular.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was questioning myself, why do I like the burpee? You know why? It's probably because it is proven by everybody that it is such an uncomfortable pain in the ass exercise to do.
It is.
So and now when someone attacks me about it, do 100 burpees, I'm like, okay, whatever, because it doesn't bother me anymore. And I think that we make things out to be a really big deal about things when actually they can be simpler. They can be simpler and we can just do them and not overthink them, like you said. Like, big deal. I'll do the burpees and I'll just get it over with, done. I'm finished. Same with just show up.
Just show up, exactly.
Show up. Okay, just show up and just give it a little bit of time. The next time it will be that much easier. The third time it will be even easier. And the 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th time it will be so easy that it'll just be second nature. Saying no to like drinks maybe for the next 5 nights with friends and not having a drink till the weekend, that's a great way to start. Exactly. It's about putting that boundary. And I think this is where people lack. They don't know their own boundaries. They don't know how to make that place, which is a safe, happy place for their individual self.
And society doesn't make it easy either, because people who live like this, which is a normal life, which is what humans should live, is looked down upon. And that's the really messed up part, dude. If all of us around us just encourage this kind of a lifestyle, I don't think people think so much about it. The problem is, this is the ideal life that you have to work so hard to reach and get.
I mean, it's like, oh, Zoe's coming. The menu's going to be so boring. This is like the things that I get. And honestly, when I started off, I was just like, it would bother me. Now, you know what? Everybody's like, what's Zoe having? Let's see what Zoe's having. It's like like when I meet people at weddings, it's hilarious. People would come up to me from behind me and hide their plate. Okay. I was putting like fish with pasta on my plate, okay? This person behind me was like, you're going to put pasta on your plate, Zoe? And they were like, and then they're like, here's my plate. And it also had pasta. And I was like, great. It's just so bizarre, because you can eventually be that person when you are so confident, you're so sure, from tried and tested, and what is like doing something that means of value to you, then it doesn't matter if you do it. And that's about stepping out of that comfort zone and being that person to set a little bit of a change in the norm. And I think that people are afraid of that. And I think if we were people, I think that was like something that we wanted to bring up, is that why people choose to give up on these things. Like they suddenly might realize, you know what? I don't really want, like, people are like, oh, I want 6-pack. Okay. They would do 5 classes and then they're like, oh yeah, 6-pack done. I'm happy. This is what I've got. I'm looking great. After 5 days of like killing and sweating and dehydrating themselves a little bit, like, oh this is looking good. Okay. It's if you realize that the goal is actually something you didn't really want that badly. That can be a reason also why you quit, because you realize that it was a stupid goal to begin with. It was like, it requires a lot of a different approach.
Exactly. And that's very important, because sometimes people just make goals that are just so far-fetched and so unattainable and too much pressure, right? Like that it's not going to work. Even my journey of giving up alcohol was step by step. Like I had an inclination maybe a year ago or 2 years, but I not big fan of cutting off things suddenly, right? It's never worked for me. I rather make a calculated decision and say that, okay, fine, I'm feeling that this is something I want to give up, and this is something what I want to do. And then I start taking it step by step. And then when I was ready, I knew when I was having my last drink that I'm not going to drink anymore for a very long time, unless someone puts me to Italy and I don't know what's going to happen. But until I reach there, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to have a drink. And I was okay with those steps. And I think that's what happens, right? When people just say, tomorrow I'm going to eat healthy, I'm going to hit the gym, I'm going to sleep at 9 p.m., I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. That's when you put
everything.
And that's really messed up. So start small, guys. Take one goal. If you take your fitness goal or take your mental goal or take X, all of it is all linked, right? But sleep goal, whatever it is, take one and say, okay, fine. For the next 5 days, I'm going to sleep at 10:30 every day. Let's start with that. And I'm not going to drink till the weekends, right? That's it. Or I'm planning protein in one meal of my day. And if you just start with that and then slowly build it up, I think that's where that is the best and the most proven way to do it.
And I want to just jump in here and say that when you say this to yourself, you stick to it, come what may.
Exactly.
This is where people always fall short.
Yeah.
And this is actually what irritates me to the core.
Yeah.
Is because the fact that you made that statement, like it came out of your mouth, but you can go backwards on it, does not say much about the kind of human you are. That is my opinion.
Blank judgment by Zoe.
Yeah, really. If you have set out and set yourself a goal, which means a lot to you, but you are willing to let it go because your friend flew into town, your brother's getting married, your sister's getting, whatever the reason is, when you start to derail and allow yourself a no, or allow yourself to skip it, or allow yourself, it becomes a habit, and then it becomes just much easier to let it go and not do it. And that is why many people don't choose discomfort, because saying no, or showing up, or putting things on hold, or learning to not give in to every instant gratification moment that is given your way is actually what is making you overcome an uncomfortable situation and come out that little bit more in control and stronger as a person. And that's why it means a lot to me when someone doesn't like, oh, fine, I'm willing to hear you out. But at the same time, if it's a repetitive pattern that you start to see on the regular, in all aspects of your life, because let me tell you, if you are like that in an exercise, you are like that in life.
I love it.
If you think something is just not attainable and too hard, and it is. You won't get it. When people are like, I want to be really fit and make muscles and this, but I don't want to eat that much. I'm like, you know what? Don't work out also. You got to eat and you got to work out together. The truth is you got to want it hard enough, and it does require you to be on a certain level of being uncomfortable to push through, because it is about the process. It is not, there is no end result that suddenly pops up and this is where you get, because wherever you get, you have to maintain yourself then. Whether it is physically or it is in whatever it is that you're doing business-wise, work-wise, income-wise, salary-wise, whatever you have to do and is asked of you, it doesn't stop just there. When you reach there, it continues, right? So you've got to keep understanding that the process is more enjoyable than what you're going to get at the end. You will keep getting if you keep putting, and that's how it works. There's no sudden stop.
And I just feel the two things more that sort of I'm thinking of while you're saying all this is, one is that women have the innate ability to do so much more, take so much more on, not overthink and get shit done. But they're also succumb so easily to victimization and self-victimization. Oh, I can't do this. I'm just like, but you literally just have to like,
I'm getting my period for 5 days of the month, so can I have a discount on my coaching plans? What? No, you cannot. Right? What is that got to do with anything?
The self-victimization, and it's not cool, man, because it just like, why do you want to take, first of all, we're all talking about how women need to be uplifted. Like we need to be given more. We need to be shining through because of societal norms. We have not been, right? And now when we're finally, people are okay, fine, go for it. You know, go out, prove yourself in the world. That slow change is happening. It suddenly goes into this zone. And I'm just like, wow, like, that's so weird. And the second part is that those people who you meet who don't allow you to move forward, like we talk about, right? Oh my God, like, why are you killing yourself? Why do you want to, why do you want to, like, why are you lifting and why are you doing a pull-up? Why are you, like, Sonali, you don't have a life. You sleep at 10 o'clock every day. And I'm just like, just accept me, right? Just allow me to live that, because it's what I enjoy doing. And it's so hard. And you doubt yourself. Even though you're on the right path, you doubt yourself because you're like, and like you said, why are you eating this or why are you doing this and why are you not drinking? And that is, and there's so many people around this.
They say, and I truly believe it myself, is that those who take the time out to point something to you, in you, that they don't like, it's something they don't like in themselves.
Exactly.
It's something that they struggle with. And this is so true.
Yeah. And the thing is that the people who you grew up with might not then, and as you evolve as a person, they don't end up being the people you hang out with or grow old with as friends or people. Like now life, friends are different. People are like you and me who would want to wake up and do something. When I was going on your, people just shocked, like, why would you do that? Who puts themselves through it is an extreme to go on a fitness holiday because it's not everyone's cup of tea.
Thank God no one's listening to this right now as my retreat starts in 2 days, where I have a whole bunch of lovely 12 women joining me.
Oh my God. I hope they've worked out before, bro. That's all I can say.
I gave them some warning. I gave them some pre-work.
The push through mindset. You go with your thoughts. I'll take it on
Yeah.
after you.
I have definitely developed this mindset of that I'm not okay with not giving my 100% at whatever it is that is thrown my way. So I try very much to approach that. I think I definitely learned it. I think even in college and school, I was hardworking. I don't think my results always showed that I was. But I think that I would put in long hours. I would be willing to do slightly different things than my peers. I would get up for horse riding before school. So that when you get 6 o'clock, it would mean staying past 2 p.m. for basketball practice till 4 p.m. and coming home, like going cycling. Like I had these routines from a young age, which I love. I think that they kept me on the right track in terms of what is more beneficial to me to be the best version of myself. I think this was slightly ingrained in me from a very young age that I wanted, and I wasn't competitive. It wasn't that I was trying to prove it to anybody. I never remember being like, oh, I have to beat this person or I have to whatever. Like I would have these moments that you would have like elections and you want to be like games captain and you want to be better than somebody. Yes, of course. But I had this inner understanding that I was like good at sports, that I was good at showing up on a regular. Like I would be like, oh, I would do my homework in the car waiting for the riding so that I could get the best horse in the group. Like I would come early. Even like when I joined like Fitness First and I joined these group classes, the queues, because fitness was massive when I started. Like it was, this group concept was just coming in the door, and it would be like waiting in the line for 45 minutes, Sonali, just to get my foot in the door.
Wow.
Okay. It was that. And I would drive all the way across Delhi to get into this line. That is like giving up a lot of time, planning, being uncomfortable. And you know what? Still getting shoved out of the way by a whole bunch of aunties to get into the class.
Yeah.
Now, the point is about learning, instead of being like, oh no, I'm just going to fight them to get in the door. I was like, I'll just get there a little bit earlier and I'll still be uncomfortable standing in the queue longer, but I'm willing to do it.
Yeah.
So it's this way of making things happen is so important. And even with like new moms and the experience that I have felt twice over now is that knowing already what is important to you as a person and making that time for it makes you a much better person, because it is more in line with what you believe in. And you can then in turn transfer that energy on to the kids, your kids, people around you, the staff that you work with, etc. It all matters to see that you have made something happen by doing a certain number of things to make that possible. And that in many cases means pushing through things that are uncomfortable to get what we want, because we know that it's for the better. And I actually really truly believe in bettering myself as often as I can through my day. It's about having a very good day that I can reflect on, because I feel good about myself when I hit the bed at night. I feel good that this was a good day. And usually people who say that, oh, it was a good day, I had a nice time, it's because they achieved their to-do list. They were able to make time for all the things that mattered. And more importantly, they knew what they had to do, which I think is what most people don't even have, a to-do list. They'll have a to-do list of just work. They won't have a to-do list of like life, of growth, of personal time, eating well, having enough water, getting outside in nature. They won't think that all of that is what should formulate your day. Because that is what makes you a better person, and finding that mundane is not so difficult. These are all easy things when you do them on the regular. It's when you suddenly think you need to do all of them together, it seems too difficult and people will quit. It's about making the basics uncomfortable, but overcoming them until they're not uncomfortable.
Yeah. The push through mindset, a lot of it comes through from and people need to be aware that if you are inherently not a push through mindset person, and it's a lot of work for you to become that, right? More than it is for your spouse, for example, or someone around you, is also a lot to do with your upbringing, right? Everything goes back down to that, right? If you've been brought up in a push through mindset because your parents are like that, the chances are you are going to be that as well, right? That's another thing to get really aware of, because if you're aware that, okay, fine, I might be the kind of person who might have to work a bit harder to become this person that I want to, right? Because we can change. We can totally change our rewiring, everything that we've gone through and picked up, all the conditioning, right? All of that can be rewired, and you can become a whole different person if you choose to do that. So once you're aware that, okay, this actually comes from certain instances, certain people, or certain environments that I have spent a lot of time in, then once you're aware, you take the step to change that first. Everything that you said is very important, and I've seen that in a few people who like, dude, why is it so hard for me? And then that's when you want to try and figure out like, why is it that you can't do it so easily and another person can? So go deeper into understanding that also a bit, because it is a lot to do with environment and upbringing and conditioning to get through your push through mindset up and going and ready to action.
You will, whether you like it or not, be put in front of you with a situation where it requires you to do it.
Yeah.
At some point in your life, right? And this is also like a really interesting thing about exercise and understanding what it is. If you can, like, if exercise is only about aesthetics and how you look, which is what most people will start out with, you will actually not benefit from this idea to make it easy in your life by actually showing up and doing it. Is because exercise, in that uncomfortable moment, you are preparing yourself to deal with anything uncomfortable that comes your way in life. And that could be a pressure to your body. It could be the inability to deal with a heart attack. If your body already is accustomed slightly to learning to deal with extra blood flow, lack of blood flow, all of that actually, if you were to break it down, is what you are doing. You are actually breaking your body down in certain moments like exercise to prepare it stronger for moments that you might need it. So these things and these ideas of being uncomfortable are practice for moments that you will be required to use them when they are actually of the most essential. And that could pop up any time in your life.
Yeah.
Anytime. It could just pop up any moment, and you will be much better prepared if you are willing to understand that discomfort is vital for you to get better and get stronger and just have more of a fulfilled feeling of your own life, is what I really do feel.
See, the people who are listening to our podcast are women living in metro cities and mothers. A lot of them who are probably having to deal with a lot of things, but also not a lot of things. Like, you might be dealing with a lot of shit, but you're also not dealing with a lot of things because you've got enough support system and this and that, whatever. So I'm trying to get through to them for them to understand sometimes if you are not a push personality, right? And I say this because I see it a lot. Let's say in Yadu, he's not a push personality, right? And he's aware of the fact that he's not a push personality, but he shows up and he gets it done, right? Even if he doesn't like to. So that's what you're
trying. But is that because he knows that's important for you?
But also to himself. But like he'll show up to the gym because he knows that his day is going to go amazing because but he's had to work at it every day.
But that's what's missing in people. They won't even have that now. That actual interest that purpose is not there. Yadu has this idea in his head that this is going to benefit me. There is some down the line. I've thought ahead. That's why I'm putting myself through this now, because ahead of time, it's actually going to benefit me. That people actually don't think like that. So even it comes down to simple things like the habits we teach our kids, like sleep training. In the moment, it was very hard for you to even approach. But 3 years later, it is still tough for you to sleep. But in that moment, if we were to understand that 2 or 3 weeks of how to do it and just adjust ourselves in that uncomfortable process, the next one becomes easy. Like Zayn, to sleep train him versus Zai was bizarre, right? I still want to bite my tongue, but it's about that little level of being uncomfortable for that moment of time, because we want that end result to come, whatever it may be. We are willing to put in that little bit of change in the pregame. And people don't understand that is what because they just don't want it that bad. They're okay, this is the option I have if I don't have this.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a very different mindset, man. It's sometimes you feel like it's hard to relate to that mindset almost. Like people like that, it's very hard to just relate to that mindset. Like even when
That's why, like, why would you not want to better yourself?
Exactly.
I just can't understand this as a concept. So many people around me have been talking about how they've had therapy and they've done this. And like when I listen to, for instance, you've overcome some pretty big demons in your life.
Everyone has.
Or
you have it too.
Yeah, I have, but also I don't really know how big they are. Like I haven't made them, I don't understand the bigness of them at the moment. And sometimes I'm concerned about unearthing it. What is it? Is there anything? Maybe there isn't. I don't know. Like I'm still like that.
Interesting.
Some people can be like, oh, this happened. Like I didn't choose fitness as a way to overcome anything.
But I think it's been your therapy.
That makes sense.
Basically.
It has. Yeah. But I didn't step into that knowing that this would be what I will then get out of it. It was like a learning journey that made me say, oh, you know what? I didn't like my body before. And sometimes even now when I look at myself in the mirror, I don't like what I see right now. Dude, my belly area with the kid situation is just not what I want to look at.
Yeah.
It's just not. From somebody who had six-pack and worked for it for a long time, I have a 2-line C-section shelf, which is like a proper bump. I have DR, which just sticks out like I eat a little bit extra, and that belly was just like a big hole will just show.
Yeah.
It is very displeasing, okay, for somebody who has worked at it and is in this line. But do I not show up to put in that work for the exercise, even though I know on the inside that it's not going to fix that? Like I have this underlying feel of it is that it's not going to fix it. I'm going to maybe have to have surgery to fix it. It's like that. It's that realization of still showing up and still putting in that little, because I know that
it's not just that, right? There's so much more you're getting out of it.
No, of course. And also I would do it again. I feel like my fierce and fearless take home in today's episode would definitely be that people are unsure about what it is they really are trying to achieve in many scenarios. They're unsure about what really matters to them on a level that affects them. And I think that trying to be a better version of ourselves should really be on everybody's mind on a regular basis. Any opportunity you are given to better yourself, whether it's in the present moment, for the future, for your children, for your whatever it is, try to just be a better human being in all aspects. And putting in that little bit of work on a daily basis is what makes you get there. And all of that is not a beautiful, comfortable process.
Yeah.
And at some point, you will be attacked from all angles where your comfort is challenged. It might not be in the gym. It might not be at work, because some of those things could be, you could be gifted with a beautiful body, right? You could be gifted with tons of money. Yeah. You could be gifted with not needing to work. You could be gifted with whatever it might be. But there will be something in life where you fall short, and you will be put up for the challenge. Yeah. And that is that question of whether you are prepared. Can you take it on? Will it affect you, and will you push through it and come out stronger on the other side? Or will you come out in a situation where you need to then find somebody to build you back up? And that is a big scare and fear for a lot of people, I think, out there. So knowing yourself beforehand, being aware of the smaller things that make up the bigger things, are where you can really put in your effort on a regular basis. The word effort. Be willing to put in that effort. That hard work comes to play there, and you will make yourself better prepared for whatever it is that you want to take on thereafter.
Lovely. I think just based on what Zoe said, I'm going to keep my fierce and fearless to something which is we all know, but we tend to forget, right? But there is darkness before light, right? There is darkness before the sun rises. Even when you sow a seed or a plant, it builds itself inside. Even a tree has the roots grow inside in pure darkness, and then it blooms up. So in that darkness is as important as anything else, if not the most important thing, to then see light. So that's where I think that's what we're trying to say through our own experiences. That's what we've been trying to say through everything that we've discussed today, that darkness, that uncomfortable, you need to go and you need to chase it. You need to embrace it so that you can then shine through and be the best version of yourself. So I think that was it.
I think I love that, because I think that one very final point that we should bring up in this episode, and it's something that I think I do struggle with a little bit on and off, is the moment where I need to take a time out. Burnout is real. Like you would see it in the working industry.
Of course.
And I can also see it in this chasing industry for a certain body, for a certain look, a feel, aesthetic. You need to find a balance. Life has to have a little bit of everything, as does your plate when you eat. A little bit of everything. That it needs to have joy. It needs to have relaxation. It needs to have that time where you push yourself. And it needs to have that time where you reflect and you build and you pull back and you come forward. It has to have all of that. And phases of our lives, especially as women, we graduate into different people at different phases of our life.
We should do a separate episode on this, because I think burnout, and even if you're just parenting, or even if you're just running a business, or even if you're just being a trainer, even within that field, if you are that push mentality, which you and I are, burnout is real.
It gives warning. And I think that's where some of these people maybe don't know themselves well enough to stop before it becomes too much.
Yeah.
A lot of this is mental. It is understanding yourself. And a lot of that is formed by the habits and the routines that you follow on a regular basis.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Good stuff, man.
So stay fierce, stay fearless. See you all next time.
And that wraps up another episode of Fierce and Fearless. Thank you for tuning in and joining us on this journey.
We hope you're going to walk away with some great insights, feel absolutely inspired, and ready to challenge norms. Come on then, just go and make your mark.
Don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on all our latest episodes. And if you loved what you heard today, please leave us a review.
And if you've got questions or you want us to discuss certain topics, just reach out to us. You can send us a message on our social media handles, Zoe Modgill or Feed Smart. We absolutely love hearing from you.
Until next time, stay fierce, stay fearless, and remember, every small step is part of your bigger journey.